we're back here from behind the booth. I got my man, Remy Heart.
Hey, what's up, man?
What up, dude? Welcome to the show. We've kind of been like long overdue for this, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I live down the street from you too, so
Yeah, I've been trying to get this guy on for a minute, but he wanted the circumstances to be right. So I'm glad that they are right. You know, starting this year off. You're actually the first. You'll be my first guest for 2020.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, right. And I think I have a lot more should be lined up. So this episode will be released in February. Hopefully, I get at least. Well, I'll get another. I say one for sure, but maybe as many as 4 this month. We'll see. Also, we'll see how much it allows for like the whole podcast thing on the website that I use. But cool, yeah. I mean, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I did want to talk about your mix, and actually, for those who watch this show often or listen, you know that I always have a DJ's mix before I have the guest on, right? And typically, it's a live DJ set. However, this particular set, I made an exception for my man here. Remy is he's very much into production. So he asked me if he could do like a Ableton
Mix,
produced
yeah.
mix. And I had no problems with that. So yeah, like let's talk about that a little bit,
Yeah, so I mean, to be honest, like I could have done it on the turntables. You know, that I grew up with turntablism and all that, but yeah, I wanted to do it just on Ableton. To be honest, like probably 50 to like 60% is my original music. Some remixes on there, and the rest is like influences I've been listening to lately. So most of the genres you're gonna hear in there are trap, future bass,
Nice.
mid tempo, hybrid trap, and some chill, like more down tempo stuff, like more hip hop stuff. And yeah, so like I said, some of the songs are in there like are from mine that I've been making for the past year and a half. Some of them are some collaborations with some other producers, some unreleased music that I have are going to be signed to some labels pretty soon. And yeah, most other ones are like artists I grew up listening to, like R.L. Grime, DJ Snake. I mean, the list goes on. And some of them are friends I'm currently talking to that are producing. They're like getting way up there in the ranks in the underground scene. They're getting booked at festival shows. Some of them are my mentors. For example, my homie Slow Palace, he's the one that helped me a lot. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoy that mix. It's just, what I'm really working with right now in my production and what I'm really vibing with.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I always like having different types of music, and I've actually been wanting some different, particularly different styles, like more kind of geared towards the electronic scene. I remember like in my early episodes, I had my friend Tropics on, and she does like kind of like tropical like house stuff.
Oh, okay.
And we had a miscommunication. That was like last year in the beginning of the year, but we had a miscommunication. So I was actually supposed to have her do a set, and I was hoping to have like that kind of showcase. That never got done. So maybe in this year I'll have her, but it's nice to have, a different dynamic brought, like your mix.
Yeah, and like most of the music you're gonna hear on there is nothing mainstream, nothing you hear like in clubs or I mean some of it's gonna be little, but it's mostly like really underground like electronic music,
Yeah, cool. So is that like your favorite music or
right now, well, since like especially the past 2 years, I just really got into like trap and future bass. I really like a lot of melodic music. I really started noticing that when I started getting more into production. Like I really like a lot of like orchestra music. So like if you listen to my new stuff that I've been releasing like the past year, most of like the music I use like violins in there, pianos. Like orchestra sounds, a lot of vocals. I love vocals, so yeah, it's gonna be mostly geared towards like melodic vocal stuff and a little bit of club like bass music. So like I'm just like a melodic bass guy type of guy. If that makes sense.
So I always like to do the origins of how people started, and so let's talk about yours.
Yeah, woof. So let's see. I guess I could start ever since I was a kid. So so we know each other because of my cousin. Since what? How long you been knowing Eric?
Um, Shout out to Eric Wheezy. I've known him since I was probably maybe 13, 14. I'm 28 now.
Yeah, yeah. See, I remember you as a kid. You guys used to play soccer, and
Hmm.
I think I was on your team, and like only played like a month or two. We're like 13 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was like Fontana, but yeah. So going
Ye-
back to that, like
hmm.
we all grew up in the same household. Me and my cousins Eric, and we had an uncle. His name was Caesar, and he used to be a DJ. He used to have techniques. I think he had an old Pioneer mixer. But he used to all do vinyl sets, but he used to only play like house, tech house, acid house, and stuff. And we were a little kid. We used to watch him all the time in back of the basement because that's where he was staying at. And like me and my cousins would go watch him, and I got really into it. And he was actually throwing these underground raves like here in SoCal, like the ones in the IE back in the day. Like back in the day, you had to make a phone call.
Yeah.
It was a flyer. You make a phone call, and then you find out about the underground
Address.
rave. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he would tell me all these stories, and I thought it was like really cool. He actually started Together as One. I don't know if you remember that event company. He used to throw that Halloween Massive back in 2008. They used to be so it used to be Together as One, and no wait, Go Ventures. That was the company. Go Ventures and Insomniac. So Go Ventures and Insomniac, they were the two underground rave companies, and then they merged together and they called it Together as One. And they used to throw these like massive rave parties. They used to bring like A-Track, Craze, Layback Luke,
Oh,
Dead Mouse,
and
all.
this is in the San Bernardino area?
Yeah, this is all LA, San Bernardino, like
Oh, okay.
all Southern California. And he used to be part of this crew. He used to throw some events, he used to DJ and all that. So then I really got really into that. So as I got older, I really wanted to get into DJing, and I started finding out more about it. My uncle was still DJing a little.
Was sorry to interrupt you, but was your uncle was he helping you, or did you ever get any lessons from him? How did that whole thing work?
So I'm like I was about to get into that. So
Oh.
yeah, so like when I was like in my mid-teens, I moved to Arizona to high school. My parents moved out there. Housing was cheaper, and so we moved to Arizona. My uncle's still living here in California, and I wanted to get into DJing, but my dad didn't want me to get into it because of my uncle. Because when my uncle was DJing, he was doing a lot of dumb stuff when he was younger, like especially in the racing, like drugs and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. So he didn't want me to get into it. So right before I graduated, right after I graduated, actually from high school, I had a friend I met in high school. So I grew up in high school. I grew up with a group of friends that all kind of like started working in the industry. So I had one friend that he was strictly a promoter. He used to throw like club events, raves, hip hop events, all that stuff. And I had a couple other ones that were DJs. So I knew this really good friend of mine. He was a DJ. He started DJing some of the local clubs in Phoenix that I knew. So I came up to him. I'm like, hey man, like I'm really interested. Blah blah blah. Can I get into it? He's like, yeah, man. He's all like, get some stuff. He's all like, and we can start practicing. So then I actually hit up my uncle and my cousin. They were DJs. They were living in Kansas at the moment. And they were, one of my cousins was a Latin DJ, did like reggaeton, salsa, and all that. And I'm like, hey man, how do I get into this? So he recommended me into a controller, the Vestax controller. Remember that little tiny one? It was like back in 2008. It was a Typhoon or something like that. So I got into that, and I don't know what the hell I was doing, to be honest. I was
Right.
just like, this is all cool to me.
Yeah.
So then I started talking more to my friend, and he told me to invest into like a real mixer and some turntables. So I got like some pair of techniques off Craigslist, and I got a Vestax mixer. It was like I think it was like 4-channel or 2-channel.
How old were you when you were doing all this?
I was 18. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
18 at the moment. Right about 19, and then
It's like the same as me then too.
yeah, we kind of started at the same time, but
Yeah.
I think you started a little before me, or I think it was like 19, but I remember you starting too around the same time.
Yeah, because I got into my senior year too, but you're older than me, right?
Yeah, I'm what, a year older?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Well, I'm 28 this year.
Yeah, I'm 29.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I did start. So then technically we started more or
Yeah,
less
around
around
the
the
same
same time.
time.
Yeah.
And then, so then after that, like I started learning off this guy. So a year straight, I was working a part-time job and I was going to college. And then like every time I got off of work, I worked at this restaurant. I'll go to his house, practice for like 3 hours a night. He'll teach me, go home, practice. I did that for a year straight. Just practice mixing. I would do it when I would watch YouTube videos, all this, and then started practicing. I'm like, okay, this is dope. And then at the same time, I was getting like more into electronic music because that's when like all that dirty Dutch stuff was happening. So then I started like making my own mixes, and one of my friends that was a promoter, I'm like, hey man, let me get a shot at a opening slot at the club. And then he's like, yeah, sure, give me a mixtape. So I gave him a mixtape and he hit me back up. So I bugged him again, and I'm like, hey man, he's like, all right, cool. He's like, I'll give you a shot. So then in downtown Phoenix, there's a club scene right there, and I used to DJ at this place called Sky Lounge. That was like my first opportunity to play in a club, and I remember the first time I played, I was like sweating balls, shitting bricks because I thought I was getting train wreck or something, And I think I did mess up a little, but I didn't do that bad, and he really liked me. So then that was like my first opportunity to like experiencing that, and that's actually where I met one of my good friends, Javen.
Sorry about that interruption, people. I got an extra shed next to the studio, so sometimes that thing gets popped open and there's a lot of noise, so I'd rather just hit pause and pick it back up. So last thing we were talking about, oh yeah, can you fix this a little bit?
Oh, my bad. There you go.
So yeah, last thing we were talking about was our friend Javen. Shout out to Javen. So you met her at this bar like one of the first places you DJ'd at?
Yeah, it was a club bar. It was a Latin club. And yeah, that's where we actually met. And she actually really liked me a lot because I was actually playing like a mix of electronic music, like dirty Dutch stuff with Latin. And she came up to me. She's like, hey, I like the way you play this and this. And she's all like, my name's Javen. I'm like, oh, my name's Adrian. I'm like, nice to meet you. Ever since then, we became like really great friends. It was funny because like I think like 2 weeks after that, she entered this like contest that got her noticed in Phoenix. It was a DJ battle contest. She blew up. Shout out to her though. She's a hardworking girl, really great. She actually was helping me out too with like some scratching lessons with me. To be honest, I love DJing and I wanted to get into scratching really bad when I was younger. And I did learn like the basics, like the chirps, some flares, crabs, and all that. But to be honest, like when I would practice it, like I felt like I really tried as hard as I could with it, but I feel like I wasn't really growing as much as other people I would see that would do a lot, or maybe I didn't put that much time into it, but I just noticed it wasn't really meant for me, like scratching and all that. But shout out to the people that do it, there's respect on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to that, so then I started DJing more clubs, started getting more noticed more in the Phoenix industry. At the same time, like I was getting really heavy into raving. Like I would go to
raving.
Yeah, to raving. So like I got more into like the DJs and all that.
So you'd be out there like in a tutu and shit.
Yeah, plur life. I just like started going to more to festivals. I think I went to like EDC 3 years. First time I experienced it, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Just like, I was going to like a couple other ones my friend was throwing. Some underground ones and clubs, and when I started getting more into it, I was just like, whoa, this is amazing. Like started learning more about the different genres and like the type of DJs, even the stage productions and all that.
When your uncle was doing that stuff, would you like listen to like a lot of his music when he was practicing?
Yeah, so when I was younger I did listen to it. Like I said, he was doing more like tech house and acid house. It was like really early, like electronic music.
So do you think that like some of your like music from like the music that you like kind of stems from that?
Yeah, definitely. I think as an early age when I listened to it, and then as I got older, like I always liked it. In high school, I didn't really listen to it more. Like in high school, I was more into like hip hop. I love hip hop too, and some Latin music too. But
right.
I always like had like I would hear it sometimes, and then like when my friend would throw his like these underground raves, he's like, "Hey, come check it out," and I'll be like, this was like back in 2007, 2008, and I'll go check these out. I'm like, whoa, this is some weird shit, but like it was crazy. It was like a different world.
Yeah.
Especially back in the day. Like now it's like really mainstream, but like back in the day it was like strictly underground.
Yeah, I didn't go really to anything like that in the beginning. I was a good kid, especially. I mean, that like had a lot to do with it. But not to say that anybody who did that was a bad kid, but I like was very sheltered growing up, so I didn't get really exposed to that till later on. So even like now, you know, like I'll trip out like still to this day when I go to like an after party or an after hours out here in LA, and that whole like scene is crazy. You know, like it's literally a warehouse, but it's as underground as it is. It's like as official as it could be for like an underground establishment. Like there's still security, there's still like a bartender, there's still there's still bathrooms. They'll have like a bunch of porta potties. I was like, do they have bathrooms? They do. There's a bunch of porta potties, and then just like a whole warehouse filled with fucking half naked people, and 'cause it's hot as fuck in there.
It does get hot.
And you know, and then like a pretty decent, like a good ass like sound system. Like, you know, I've gone and like legit like checked it out. I'm like, man, this is, like I said, I think that's like a very accurate depiction, right? Like it's official as it can be for an unofficial like event.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, but they're cool. They're a lot of fun. Anybody like in the LA scene and has never experienced that, and you get an opportunity to go experience that, I would highly recommend it. Just to say you did it.
Yeah.
You know, not. I know it's a mission because a lot of those don't start till like 2.
Yeah.
And they don't end till like fucking 6 or 7 in the morning. So that is definitely like some tough hours. But if you have the energy and the, like, you know, just want to experience something new, I highly recommend it just to try it, you know, just to say you did it. And then, you know, after that, if you're not with it, no worries.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people like when I used to introduce them, they're like, oh, it's dope. But there's some people that don't really get into it. You know, I mean, that's supposed like that goes for any genre. Like, there's some straight like hip hop heads, or,
right?
Like, straight like people that just listen to Latin music. But yeah, you just have to. I mean, it's your preference and whatever you like to listen. And for me, that was my preference. Like, I was still listening to a lot of hip hop and all that too, but I really loved it. Yeah. So then, going back to my DJing roots, like, so then I started DJing more and like. I was like, well, this is dope. Like, I want to start making my like own like edits and like mashups. So then,
and why was that?
Well, just
like, what was the desire for that?
Well, like I was going to these shows and I'm like, and I'll hear like these cool mashups. Like you'll hear like some ASAP Rocky vocals with like a fucking like Diplo beat or like
right.
Or like RL Grime was like some fucking Kanye or I don't know, just some cool mashups and stuff or like the transitions.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, this is dope. I'm like, how can I do that? Like, how can I do that? Because, I mean, with the turntables, mixers, I mean, there's limits you can do with live mashuping.
For sure.
Once you get into like editing mashup productions, like in Ableton or other DAWs, like, you can go, I mean, the creativity is limitless. Like,
yeah, it truly is, for sure.
It really is. So then, I got into it. I'm like, well, this is dope. So then, I didn't have enough money to get Ableton, and then this is even before I started bootlegging. Don't be doing that. So then,
I mean, you do what you got to do, man.
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
like.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, I know, but in a sense, like, you know, we kind of all been there, so I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily that, like, not to say that you were, but I like to think things like kind of steps ahead, and so I wouldn't like discourage anybody from doing that just because like a lot of people start like very rough like
oh
that,
yeah
know?
No, I mean most of the stuff I started off like a torrented or bootleg like
and you know, like I bet you we'd be surprised as to like how many artists or like producers have made really cool shit with like
torrent stuff.
Torrented. Or I had shout out to my buddy DJ Mars, but like he doesn't have the full, or I don't know if he unlocked it yet, but he didn't have the full version of Ableton, right? So he recently made a mix, and I think when you only have like the trial version, do you know there's like a 5 like track limit or like a 2 track limit?
Yeah, something like that.
Something
yeah.
like that, right?
Mhm.
So no lie, I think he only had 2 tracks that he could manipulate. So he did a mix just like you did, but he was only using 2 tracks, like 2 available tracks.
Oh, okay.
So like all his stuff that he had to turn on and off, like he'd turn it on and or off like per
Like
the
automating
song.
it, yeah.
Yeah, like all that stuff. Like he was doing that, and I remember because he put up in Scratch, and he's like, yo, check out my mix, blah blah. I was like, why is it all like in this just this, you know? He's like, oh, well, I don't have the blah blah blah, and his mix is dope. His mix is really dope, especially since considering, you know, because you could imagine how like tedious that would be if you had to like do all that per song. Like, you know, it's so easy to just have everything individually done so that you can apply whatever you want, and like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just really easy like that, right?
Yeah. You know what's funny? I actually did the mix, this one, on 2 channels only.
Oh, okay.
But like I really love Ableton, and I know the ins and outs of it, so I was able to do it good. Like I have like set like presets to be able to like automate stuff easily. So.
Right. and yeah, so it's a lot quicker for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot quicker.
Yeah, I don't know. I was laughing at that, but kind of in that same like notion, you know, like you utilize whatever you have and you make the best of it for sure.
Exactly. Like I know this really great producer in Spain. He got signed to like Tiesto's record label and all that stuff. But he talks about that like when he first started, he had like a 2 gigabyte RAM computer. It was like 150 gigabyte hard drive and like something like a really small shitty processor computer.
Yeah.
This dude was making hits on there and got signed to a label. Like, and that goes like what you just said. Like,
Yeah.
it's use the tools you have at the moment and make your best to push forward towards that. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you have. Like, yeah, you could have $1 million studio.
Yeah.
Or there's like, for example, that guy who had like a shitty like $100 laptop and he's getting signed to labels and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's get back to that though then.
Yeah, so we move forward over there, but so then I actually got Audacity. That's when I first started making some mashups. Mm-hmm. So then I started making a bunch of mashups and I started playing them on sets. I was like, "Whoa, this is dope." Mm-hmm. But Audacity wasn't like great for like audio editing, and,
right,
making stuff. There was actually one mashup I did, and I sent it to these pretty big like underground DJs, and they liked it, and they commented on Facebook. I thought that was like fucking amazing to me. I was like, whoa, this is dope. Like, I don't even have Ableton yet.
Right.
So then I was like, dope. So then I got a bootleg version of Ableton. This was like Ableton 8. Mm-hmm. And I was like, when I first opened it, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, it looks so confusing.
For sure.
Like, all the parameters, like, everything just looks confusing.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. So then I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos, like YouTubers like Zen World, what's that guy's name? Bill, Mr. Bill, stuff like that. Started learning the basics of just like making mashups, edit.
How old are you when you're doing this? Like when you're...
I was like 22 or 23.
Okay.
Yeah, so fast forward, like I was DJing the industry back and forth. And I was in college too, so I was
pursuing what?
Yeah, I was doing web and graphic design. Mm-hmm. So, but when I was in college too, like I was meeting all these promoters, all these people. I was telling them, hey, come out to my events. So, like college did help out, like for me to network. Mm-hmm. I actually kind of started college late. Like I didn't start college like right after high school. I started till like I was 21. So like 22 and 23, like that's when I started getting into Ableton, and then. I was getting okay at it, but like I feel like I wasn't really getting nowhere with it. Mm-hmm. So then there was this guy in my local scene that was blowing up. Like he was getting like plays from Boombox Cartel. Okay, he was getting signed to labels and all that stuff. And I knew who he was, and my friend knew him, my promoter. And I'm like, hey man, like I used to like look up to this guy, and I'm like, hey, like, can you introduce me to him? So then one day, he goes and introduced me to him and is like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, my name's Ephraim, a.k.a. Nightmare, a.k.a. XOXO. And I'm like, oh, dude, like, I'm such a huge fan of you. I'm like, what's up? So then I get to meet him that one time. And then my friend told him that I was learning Ableton. And he's like, hey, man, you interested in doing some classes? I'm doing private lessons. I'm like, yeah, dude, like, that would be amazing. He's all like, for sure. So then he would charge me not that much. He would charge me very cheap. And, I want to invest as much as I can to learn as much as I can. So then he started teaching me the basics little by little, like EQing, compressing. I remember the first time I showed him one of my tracks, like, hey, bring me your best track. He fucking roasted the crap out of me. He's like, what the hell is this shit? He's like, nah, don't be doing that stuff here. He's like, I'm going to teach you the right way, And I stuck with his classes for like a good 2 years. At the same time, I was graduating college, and I was like making my move out here. So I was living in Phoenix, and I wanted to move to Cali. My parents were living out here, and I was finishing college over there. So then I really wanted to move out here so bad because of the music scene and all that.
How frequent were these classes that you're doing?
Yeah, so these classes were once a week. Basically, we'll start with a project, and we'll build it from there. He'll teach me how to like layer kicks, snares, how to like put them in the right frequency range. Because once you get into like production, like there's two sides of production, right? So there's the actual producing, like getting the idea down and putting down on a track, and then you have the engineering side of it. So I didn't think engineering was that important until I started like taking classes with them, because if you're able to engineer a track really good, you can make your track sound way better than it was before, because that's going to make you stand out from the rest of the ordinary people, right? Like the way you engineer it, the way you make it sound, the way you master it, it's going to sound way better than the other person's track. So yeah, he basically started teaching me that, and to be honest, it was not easy at all. Production is not easy at all. Just like,
for any of you wondering, don't do it.
It's really time consuming, but it's kind of like it's the same thing, kind of like DJ in a way, right? Like if you put so many hours into like DJing, like scratching or mixing and stuff, the amount of time you put into it is going to be the outcome of what you want.
It's like anything.
It's like, with anything, like basketball players.
Anything in life, like really, the amount of time that you put into it, it's going to equate to like how much you get out of it.
Exactly. And to be honest, when I first started, like I didn't really take it that serious. I was kind of fooling around with it. So he did teach me the basics, but like I wasn't really taking the time to do it because I was still partying a lot. I was DJing these clubs, all this stuff. Right before I moved from Arizona to California, I was getting booked to go play in Rocky Point, which is Arizona's like spring break. It's kind of like Rosarito.
Remember you telling me about that?
Yeah, so I was getting booked over there. Like I was going with some of the guys from Power 90.3 over there. They're announcing my name on the radio, which I thought was pretty dope. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, they're announcing my name on the radio. Like, when we go DJ over there, like, it was fucking amazing. But we were playing, like, can I cuss on here, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's explicit on the podcast.
Okay, yeah. So, I was DJing these parties. So, we'll get there. We'll DJ these day parties from, like, noon to, like, 6 p.m. 6 p.m., after that, we'll go back to our hotel, rest like 3 hours, and then we'll do like 9 to like 4 in the morning. Like, not like 3 days straight, like spring break shit.
I remember that too. I remember you telling me about these fucking marathons.
It was crazy. Like, that's like where I literally learned how to like learn my DJ library, and it really taught me a lot. Like,
that's where you about your DJ library?
Like, just understanding my DJ library and so on. Like, like I didn't know, like, because like after you start playing for a couple hours, like you start kind of running out of songs.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, for that long of a time, for sure. 6-hour sets, and then what was it, fucking 9 to 4? You said. Yeah,
9 to 4. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it'll be like sometimes it'll be 2 or 3 DJs, but yeah, I mean, it'll be pretty long, and then just being tired, and then like drinking a lot, like just really burning yourself out. But I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was fun. I don't.
It was an experience.
It was an experience. Yeah, you see some crazy shit out there too. I mean, shout out to all the people from Pirate for bringing me out there. That was really amazing. It did really help me get my name out there. So then after that, going back to production, I graduated college, and then I moved out here to start a new life, whatever. And then I'm like, all right, I was taking classes with my friends still. We're doing it online.
Why did you want to get to LA? Or closer over here? Like, why did you want to come back to California?
Yeah, so during that time, from Arizona to California, like I just graduated college. I just got out of a relationship, so I was like really heartbroken. I was really young and dumb too.
Yeah.
And I was DJing a couple nightclubs out there and stuff, but I was going broke. Like, like college. Like I wasn't working a full-time job. I was working like very part-time.
Mm-hmm.
So then at the time I was there with my friend. He's like, you should like probably go back, move to your parents for a little bit. That way you could, regain on yourself. Get some money back, and just basically get your mind right, because like I just had a relationship. I was broke. I was DJing once in a while, not that much. So then I moved over here, and plus, like I wanted to see what the scene was out of over here, like especially LA. LA is really known for like music and all that.
So you had that in your mind too.
So I had that in my mind too, yeah. But like I didn't know how I was gonna get where I'm at right now, actually. But I didn't know how I was gonna do it. So I moved back to my parents, and I was still taking production classes with my friend. I was still like heartbroken about my ex.
Mm-hmm.
So then I remember I made this Drake remix. It was Nice for What.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I made it like in a day or so. Like I got I downloaded the song. I think I made my own DIY acapella.
Mm-hmm.
I remixed it and I turned it into a Moombahton remix, because I used to love Moombahton so much. That was like one of my first productions. But yeah, so I remixed it, and I submitted it to some record pools. I submitted to DJ City, BPM Supreme, Headliners, and all the record pools submitted it on their pools. It was crazy. It started getting some traction, especially on BPM Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
Is like I think it was like the number one download for like almost a month straight, or like 3 weeks straight.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of DJs were playing it, and like I would get people hit me up on like Instagram, on social media, or on SoundCloud, like, hey, like I love your remix, shit's dope. So like,
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
That was like back in like 2016, I think.
Well, that's like the crazy part is I didn't realize how long it was.
Yeah.
And honestly, I did play that. I think I played it recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
shit.
I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like, fuck, like, how old is this song now?
Time flies by.
Time flies by, bro. And I remember you being excited about that, and I remember you telling me that it was on the record polls. But yeah, I didn't even realize it's like already been like 4 years since that came out.
Yeah, man, it's insane. Like,
yeah,
it feels like that song was like the other day.
yeah.
And yeah, man, like shout out to that song. Like that song really put my name on the map, at least on the DJ map. And like a lot of the DJs from the radio from Arizona, they were playing on the radio. Like I heard on the radio and all this stuff, and I was like, wow, this is dope. So I started kind of catching a trend, and I'm like, yo, what if I start doing more of these these like big like hip hop records or like pop songs and remixing them. So then I started getting this wave. I started remixing like YG, DJ Snake, all these ones started. These record labels started picking it up. I was starting to get my name more known, and it was pretty dope. And to be honest, like making like unofficial remixes, aka bootlegs, were pretty easy to me. And like I was doing like trap type of stuff. But after that, like it was starting to like, as I got more into it, like I was just like I wasn't really getting satisfied as a producer. Like I was still making like original music, but I was having trouble making original music like so hard. Like, I was like I couldn't finish my idea. So I'll start a project on Ableton, and like I'll work halfway through it, and like I'll draw a blank, and then like I'll leave it there and I wouldn't finish it. And I have like multiple projects in Ableton where I wouldn't finish them. So then I started getting really frustrated again, and like I stopped kind of doing the remixes. And I kind of stepped back from it, and then at the same time I was like finish up my classes with my friend because I felt like I learned as much as I could with him. Shout out to Efren XOXO. But yeah, I felt like I reached my limit with him, and then he told me there was this opportunity at the studio his friend owned that they were looking for internships. I was like, this was in North Hollywood. So I was like, oh shit, this is dope. So I applied for it. So you had to submit original song or a remix, whatever, and like a letter just saying why should we pick you? Why do you have this? Why should you get this opportunity to intern with us? So it was called Cemetery Academy, which is a studio in North Hollywood, which is inside Fever Recordings. Fever Recordings, it's a pretty big studio. Like a lot of like big hip hop producers go there, like Soulja Boy, Tyga. I remember one time I saw like Ice Cube walking in there, and like it's actually 3 studios in there. So Fever Recordings, the main studio, Cemetery Academy, which was like all EDM, was on the top. And then there was another one on the side, which was owned by Scotch Storch. You know Scotch Storches? He used to produce for like 50 Cent, The Game. He was like a big like hip hop producer in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, I will openly admit that I don't know a lot of producers.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
I mean, maybe as sad as that is to say, and it's funny too because when I went to that recent thing at NAMM, that BPM after party, I was with a couple buddies of mine, and then they were pointing out, they were like, hey, like, do you see that guy over there? And I'm like, yeah, what about him? And they were telling me that he was like, I don't remember his name honestly, but it was like a big producer of like Kanye, like a lot of like Kanye produced tracks.
Oh,
like
damn.
He made. And so like they were kind of flipping out, like pretty much, it's a big deal. But my dumb ass was like, I don't know, like I don't really know who he is, like, it's not a big deal to me. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that they're like producers are so kind of like in the background,
They really are. Well, especially like in the hip hop world, like
for sure.
I mean,
they're getting a little bit.
Yeah, they're getting a little like I mean, especially here like in LA, like I see like some hip hop producers like getting booked, like Murder on the Beats. Who else is another one? Mike Will Made It. He got
Mike Will.
Dude, I saw Mike Will Made It at Escape from Wonderland, like at a rave. Like you could tell his set was pre-recorded, but it was just crazy. He brought Ray Sherman and everything. It was pretty cool. But like like I mean, now they're like getting more notice, but like especially back in the day, they were like you didn't even know who produced a record. Like it was mostly the hip hop artists, and to be honest, like producers should get more credibility because they actually bring the whole vibe to the track. I mean, without the production, like the vocals are just, I mean, they're there, but like it's where I think the emotions and like everything are at and the production of the track.
So you are you kind of like on that whole like team? You know how like producers have like their like tag.
Oh yeah, I used to have a tag.
How do you feel about that?
It's cool. I think there's some that overuse it.
Yeah. Like during the song. You're cool with everybody having a tag, but as long as it's just like before the song rather than like during the song.
Yeah, well, especially like back like in mid 2000s hip hop, like you would hear it a lot, like in those like mixtapes from like The Game. I used to be a big Game fan. Like you would hear like so much like dropped in the song, it would just kind of get annoying. So,
I think like a premiere, right? Or like they were like, "This is a world premiere."
Yeah, yeah, like stuff like that, or DJ Ski.
I remember hearing that one. In
yeah, that one's like a lot. Or like
I know the world premiere one.
And like even now, it's like Mike Will Made It. Like I like how Mike Will Made It. So like in the beginning of the song.
Yeah, just real close up front.
But there's some people that overdo it with the tags.
Yeah,
I think so. But yeah, I mean, like, so going back to the studio, to the studio thing. I mean, yeah, so that studio, so then like I got to go, they had an open house at the studio. I went to go check it out and I was like, whoa, this is fucking amazing, dude. Like they have outboard gear, like analog gear, like they even had a little DJ studio just like to practice DJing. Like,
right.
It was the most amazing thing. Like I was like, whoa, like I want this. Like I've been wanting this forever. So like I was saying, so I submitted my track, and I made this track with this one girl. It was an original production. It's this one singer I met on Instagram. She sings really good. Her name's Leah. Shout out to her.
Hey.
But yeah, we made this one track. I deleted it off my SoundCloud. But no, it was just my old stuff. I just
You're like, it was a great song, but
it was just,
can't find it anymore.
Yeah, no, I just
gone.
If you need it, just hit me up.
If you didn't fucking get it, so too bad.
I'll DM it to you, private SoundCloud link.
Hey.
It wasn't a bad production, but it wasn't my best. It was like a lot of my early work.
Yeah.
Anyways, I submitted it, and then I was like waiting for days. I was like, yo, are they gonna hit me back up? And I was like, and then I finally got an email, and they're like, hey, we're really interested in you. You might come in for an in-person interview. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no way. And I tell my friend, my old mentor, Ephraim, I'm like, hey man, like, they accepted me. He's like, really? He's like, what? That's crazy. He's like, let me put a word in for you. He's like, I know the owner. So then he put in a word for me. He's like, hey, you should interview him. And he's like, look into him. So then I went for the in-person interview, dude. And like, I remember when I was in there, like, I was in this small studio. They had like multiple rooms, but I was in like one of the small studios, and the guy was just, it was this dude, and he was just like with a pen and paper. He's like, oh, how long are you producing for? What do you know about engineering? What do you know about vocal tracking? What do you know about processing? I'm like, oh, this and this. Like, I knew some stuff, some of it I didn't. And then he's like, all right, open up your best project. So I opened up on my best project, and he just kind of wanted to know what I did in my project. He's like, all right, cool. He's like, all right, well, if we're interested, like, we'll hit you back up. I'm like, all right, cool, man. So then I go home, and then I wait, and then like a week later, they hit me up like, hey, like, congratulations, you were selected. So they selected two of us. This was like back in like late 2017 or beginning of 2018. They selected me and my homie Judd, aka Slow Palace right now.
Hey.
So then when we got into it, like, I met him and I heard that guy's music, Slow Palace, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's fucking good, dude. Like, I'm like, I got kind of intimidated him because like he was just like amazingly good. I was like nowhere at the level he was at, and this dude was already getting signed to some record labels. He got signed on to Daryl's, you know who Daryl is? Yeah, he got signed into his record label, Panda Funk Records.
Oh, okay.
And he got signed to some other labels and stuff. And I asked him,
that is pretty cool.
It's fucking, yeah, dude. I was like, holy shit. Like, I never met, like, the only person I met in person that were like had that kind of success like in the industry was my mentor. But my mentor, like, he kind of like retired from it. He was doing more of the background work. He was doing more of the background work, teaching more people. But when I met him, it was amazing. So then was the internship, we were only supposed to work like once or twice a week or whenever they call us. At the same time, I was working a full-time job. Like, I just graduated college, but when I was working this full-time job, like, I wasn't happy. Like, yeah, I went to school for web and graphic design and stuff, but
that's what the job consisted of?
Yeah, like web and graphic design, like social media marketing and stuff like that. It was cool, but like, I don't know, like, I don't really give a shit. Like, it's not that I give a shit, it's just like, there was no passion in that. It was like my music stuff, like, there was passion. So at the same time, like, when I was doing this job, I talked to my job. I'm like, hey, like, I just got offered this opportunity. It was an internship. Like, let me switch to part-time. They were cool. They only let me work like 3 times a week or something. And then at the same time, I was doing the internship. So I was living at my parents' house, which was in Moreno Valley. It's in the Inland Empire. And I was driving all the way to North Hollywood. That would be like, like an hour and 30 drive? Or?
Sound like a 2-hour drive, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Especially with traffic, man. So with
traffic, it's a fucking shit show.
So I did that for like, the internship lasted for a year. I would do that for like drive almost 2 hours a day, like one way, and then like on the back, traffic was a little small.
And this is like, what's the timeline on this?
This was like 2017, 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, like 2018-ish. Yeah, so I was driving back and forth. I was trying to learn as much as I can. And what's cool about the internship, so basically when we were there, we would like help assist students. Like if a student booked a studio, we'll go in there, we'll let them use the studio, whatever they needed. And then sometimes artists would come, like big artists. Like we had the Bloody Beetroots come,
Hey,
Nitty Gritty, Lick, Ricky San, Boombox Cartel.
real quick, did the so Bloody Beetroots usually like wear masks? Did they like come like all like decked out, or like are they just like regular dudes?
So now it used to be two guys,
Yeah.
but now it's I forgot his name, Barb Cornelius or something. No, so he didn't come with some masks, but like I couldn't take no pictures of them or anything. So like when these big artists would come,
But you knew it was them?
Oh,
like
yeah.
That's how did they come under that name? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
he's like, hey,
they
what's up?
register in like I'm Bloody Beer.
No, he didn't say that. He's like, they always say their regular names. Like, hey, what's up, man? My name's Bob. But like the owner of the studio is like, hey, today we have so. He's like, hey, today we have so and so coming.
It's a heads up, right?
Yeah, he's all like, just So I'll let them into the studio.
Cool.
Sometimes like they would ask me to help them out, like record or stuff, or sometimes they wouldn't. Like for example, one time, you know who Bipolar Sunshine is?
No.
You hear that song with Snake, in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that the singer of that guy, the singer of that track.
Oh wait. I was singing the fucking the Z track.
No.
To baby.
I got.
In the middle. Which one's that? Oh yeah, I know which one it is. Like with you in the middle. Yeah, that one's.
So
yeah,
that dude right there. I saw him. It was funny because I let him into the studio and I don't know who the hell he was because the main producer was Nitty Gritty, which he's like really blowing up now. He got signed to like with Diplo and all that stuff. But anyways, I knew who he was, but I didn't know who the other guy was, and he had like this heavy London accent. And then I let him in. It was raining that day in LA, and like they get to the studio and then they're like, hey, what's up, man? And then he's all like, yeah, I fucking had to come from the airport. It's been a bitch. He's all pissed about the rain. I was like, got my kick. He was really nice. He was just like, I got my kicks all the way. I'm oh, cool. And then we were just talking. Like I was just casually talking to him. I don't know who the fuck he was.
right.
and then like and then that Nitty Gritty's like, he's like, hey, I like that track you did with DJ Snake and San Holo. I was like, oh, that's fucking okay.
Piece together.
Yeah. And then like I didn't really try to get starstruck, like meeting all these producers and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one time where I did kind of get starstruck, but I keep it. You gotta keep it professional. You
gotta keep your composure.
Yeah, you gotta keep your composure because like these guys come in here to work. They don't want to get bugged.
Fucking fanboyed out.
Yeah. Like some of them will be cool. Like some of them will go take me out to eat or like be cool. Like they give me their fucking phone numbers whenever anything or whatever. But yeah, so like that was a dope experience just doing that. So that's how the internship would work. So we'll go work. And then once a week, the owner would teach us like production. So we'll bring our projects in. He'll help us out with how to make it sound better, this and this. And then I'll learn once a week, and then I'll go back home and practice. So I remember like for a year straight, like 2017 to 2018, I like went so hard into music production. Like I put all my time. I wasn't watching TV. I didn't give a fuck about sports. I wasn't watching movies. I didn't have a girlfriend. Like
no games,
no nothing. And like I remember my mom would be a warning. She's like, "Hey, you're in your room a lot." Like, and I had a little studio room because they had an extra room. And she's like, "Hey, you're in there. Like, you need to take a break." I'm like, "Nah."
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and I kind of made a promise to myself too. I'm like, like, not that much people get this opportunity that I have presented. Like, I'm gonna take full advantage of it.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna go 120%, 150%, and that's what I did for a year. And then I remember that whole year, like I could hear my production level go from a 2 to like like a 10 or whatever, like so fast. And that goes back to all that like commitment level, how much time you put into it. And I really started noticing that. I'm like, whoa, like it's actually possible.
Right.
Like, I mean, nothing's impossible, dude. Like, I mean, look at everyone that's made it big, like A-Track, like Kobe Bryant, all that. Rest in peace to him.
Right. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, man, so like the internship ended.
And you had been doing that for like a year? Yeah,
I did it for a year. It was like it ended like in like December 2018. And like I was like, okay, dope. So I started researching how to get my music into like Spotify and all that. I used a company called DistroKid that distributes music. I've been producing a couple tracks, but
And what is? Sorry to interrupt. What is that like? How do you spell that?
DistroKid is spelled DIST DISTROKID. DistroKid.
DistroKid. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
DistroKid is a music distributor. So basically, well, nowadays, so back in the day, like if you want to get your music like on iTunes or whatever, you had to go through a record label, and then they had, whatever agreements and all that. They would distribute the music to there. But now, like with
The digital age.
the digital age, like anyone can upload their music on
Right.
Spotify, iTunes. I mean, for example, your podcast right now, like you're able to do that. Like back in the day, that was impossible. So, DistroKid.
Well, that's celebrity privileges, bro. They know who I am. Just kidding, people.
Yeah, so I'm like, so then I found out about it. I signed up for it. Did my research, how to do it.
So how's that process on there? So just for anyone that's like maybe looking into distributing some of their stuff, like how easy is that process?
It's very easy. So all you need is find it. There's different distributors, different companies. There's DistroKid, Toon Baby. What's one you use?
Buzzsprout.
Buzzsprout. There's a couple other ones too, but I mean, to be honest, I did my research on all them. I think DistroKid's really great. I think I paid for the medium package, which is like $35 a year.
Mm-hmm.
You get unlimited uploads. You get 100% royalties. So if you guys don't know what royalties are the music. It's the money you make from when someone streams your track. If your track gets played on a commercial, if your track gets played like at a stadium, anything like that. So those are royalties. So now I think like with streaming, like I think for every one stream it's like 0.5 cents or something. It's like really low.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, like I'm making money right now off streaming, but it's like not that much. It's whatever. You don't really make that much, like unless you're like Drake or someone. You're
Probably like equivalent to like someone that makes like money on YouTube.
Yeah.
They're not making that much money.
Yeah, you're not making that much money. I mean, to be honest, when you make your money, like especially like for producer or something, if you're like playing shows, clubs, and all that, or even like ghost producing and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's pretty easy, guys. Like, just get on DistroKid, sign up for it, create a Spotify account, and you're pretty set to go. If you guys ever have any questions about that, make sure to hit me up on my social media or email me. And it's all at Remy Heart Music. I'll more than happy to help you guys out with all that. I mean, when I first started, like it was like, how the hell am I gonna do this? But I mean, you figure it out, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember the first track I uploaded was a track I made with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like when I was doing the internship, I started to notice like what type of music I really like to mix. So that's like I was saying in the beginning of the podcast, like in that mix, like so most of the music I really like to make is like a lot of like melodic stuff.
Right.
So like pianos, violins, and when I was doing the internship, I was starting to learn a little more about music theory, but I'm not that great at music theory, but I'm able to hear like what notes sound great together, like a C, a D, and an F, or a third, a seventh, a fifth. I'm not, like I said, I'm not the best at music theory. Like actually, like I can't play live for shit. Like I can play some, but I'm really good to program MIDI and beats, where I'm able to make my stuff sound like professionally, not good, you know.
Right. And I didn't get to ask you this at the beginning, but do you did you play any instruments like growing up?
I just when I was a little kid, I remember I was playing the flute in school, and that's pretty much it. Like that's all I have.
Yeah. I like to talk about stuff like that because sometimes like people get discouraged, like they feel like they need to know how to play an instrument to produce. So it's nice to know that like, oh, I don't, and you can still be just as successful.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Like I used to have that fear, like, for example, I hear like these great like producers like, oh, I had a background in guitar or drums or something, but
yeah, usually when you hear those like interviews, they're fucking like, yeah, I pretty much played every instrument, and you're just like, oh, fuck me, right?
Yeah. To be honest, like Yeah, you don't really need that stuff.
Yeah, like I played a fucking kazoo, like a little.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess my background is DJing. I mean, that kind of helped me like figure out like structure in a song.
Yeah.
Because like when I first started like making music, like I would structure for a DJ to get played, especially with like my remixes and stuff. But like as I got more into producing, like you start training your ear like to hear what sounds good and whatnot. Like I had to produce like probably like 50 to 100 shitty tracks to be able to start making one good track. Like I felt, I had like so many people tell me I sucked, I wasn't gonna do nothing, like so many people, but I didn't give a fuck about that. Like I still did what I had to do, and I put my time in, and like now I'm starting to see results. So going back to that, I started releasing music on Spotify. It was good. Like I released like 3 tracks. They were okay. They weren't the best. So then this was like beginning of 2019. They were getting some recognition, but not like where I wanted to be. So then I'm like, I was getting a little too trigger happy. But I mean trigger happy, like I would create a song I really liked, and I'm like, oh, I gotta release it. I gotta release it.
Yeah.
And that's not the way. I had to learn the hard way. Like you have to be patient with this shit. Like you really had to take your time. So
what was the problem with that?
The problem was like I would rush it too much, or like even in my productions or my engineering and stuff, and there'd be like little tiny mistakes or something. I mean, like the average streamer wouldn't hear it, but like if you're a professional, you could hear like, oh, he kind of like, for example, I made this one song, like I layered the saws, and like I was missing the mid layer, and you couldn't really hear it. But like if like you said, you have that professional ear, you can hear it.
Right.
So then,
so it's kind of like the whole notion of like the whole like quantity over quality.
Yeah.
So you're kind of pumping them out, but not like really taking your time with all of them.
Exactly. Yeah. Quality or quantity, man. And I kind of learned how the hard way. So I was like, yo, I need to take a step back. And I'm like, so then I went back to like going to that producing grind. So, I was like, you know what? Like, I want to take it to the next level. Like, after the internship ended, like, I feel like I wasn't really learning that much. So I hit up my bro, Soulpaz, the guy I did the internship with, because his shit was crazy. Like, he was getting support from, like, Excision, Illenium, like, these big producers. I'm like, yo, like, this is a great opportunity. So I hit him up, I'm like, hey, man, like, you're doing private lessons. I'm like, I feel like I'm pretty advanced, but I feel like you're going to help me take me to the next step. So then he's like, yeah, man. So this was like last year, like in like summertime or like right before summer. And I did classes with him for like, I just needed like a good like 4 or 5 months. I think I did. And we wouldn't do them like every week. We'd do it like probably once every 2 weeks. And just like by watching him and like him teaching me the stuff, like the more advanced stuff, it brought my shit up to like a whole nother level. So then I didn't release music for like a good 5 months. And then I started building a catalog of music. So I started just producing a bunch of tracks. And like for every like one of 5 tracks I would produce, I'll take one of those out. And I'm like, oh, this is probably good enough for a release or something, you know?
Right.
So then so then I took my time, and then I'm like, all right, I think I got some good tracks. So then I submitted one of my tracks to a record label. And then I made a promise to myself. I'm like, I want to get signed to a label. Like, I don't care how big it was or how small. And there is this label. It's called Hybrid Trap Records. They have a sub label. It's called Good Vibes Only. So Good Vibes Only is like a feature based label. So they make like more like chill stuff, like more chill trap stuff. And I made this track called Moving On. And then I submitted to them, and I waited. I was like, fuck, what if they don't like it? So then I waited a week later, and I got an email back though, like, they asked me a question like, hey, this is pretty dope. Like, where'd you get that vocal from? I'm all like, oh, I got it on Splice. You know what Splice is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Splice is just a sample library you pay monthly. You can download free samples, royalty free. That means you're not going to get you're not gonna get sued for using a sample.
There you go. Perfect. And that sounds like a good deal. I don't think anybody does want to get sued.
Yeah, or you don't want to get any of that.
That's
kind
goals
of stuff.
right there.
Yeah, so then I submitted to them, and they're like, "This is dope." I'm like, they're asking me like, oh, "Okay, like, what genre is this?" I'm like, "This and this," and they're like, "Yo, we want to sign this." I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, really? You guys really want to sign this?" I just saying that in my head. I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" And I was at work too, and I just like remember just like jumped out of my desk where I was working. I was just like, "Oh shit, bro! What the fuck?"
Dude, what movie is? Fuck. I think it's. I say, did you bust at How High? Where the guy's like, "All right, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you."
Oh no, right? I really wanted to do that. So I was like, holy shit. So then they're like, yo, just send us the cover art. And then they sent me the contract for the like distributing royalties and all that. And they're like, all right, cool, just sign here. Signed. And they signed to label, and when they schedule it like 2 months in advance. And some kids screaming.
I know, right? Hey, keep it down.
And I remember like I was so anxious for that record to get released. Like I'm like just like for the public, because like the label had a lot of support. They have like 35,000 followers on SoundCloud, like I think like 10,000 on Spotify. Their label gets played by like big artists like R.L. Grime, fucking Bilo, fucking Boombox Cartel. So I was like, holy shit. So then the track got released, and I was like, it got released in November this past year. Yeah, was it November? Yeah, November. And I remember I was traveling in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and it got released like a day before I released to Tokyo, and like I started getting like all these messages on my Instagram like, yo, this is dope and all this. And then I remember when I was in Tokyo, I couldn't see like the stats on my phone, because what's cool about Spotify, it tells you how many people are playing your track, you know, what countries are listening. So I was in Japan for like a whole week, which Japan was a fucking amazing place. If you guys ever go there, check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah, so then I came back, and then I started seeing all the stats and who was reposting it, and then I started seeing like big artists reposting it, like OK liked it, he reposted it, Kennedy Jones reposted it, your homie Styles Complete, yeah, they reposted it, and I was like, holy shit, like this is really happening. And then yeah, dude, like
little taste of stardom.
it's not like I wouldn't say it's like super huge. Like I still have a lot to go, but I mean celebrate like every little success.
For
right?
sure, definitely, it's important. Yeah, I talk about that a lot, and really really acknowledging like what you did, and it's important to give yourself that credit. So be like, if you look back on it, you're like, man, I did that. That's awesome, but also important to not just like dwell on it, because then you could just sit there and like kind of like marvel at it. But it'd be so much better if you're like, wow, that's amazing. I can't wait to get another one or do it again. Like rather than just being stationary and just marveling at like one success of yours, when you could kind of fucking just stack them up. Stack up those success, and then now you have like this whole. You said it earlier too, like this whole like an archive, not an archive.
Oh,
but,
catalog,
exactly, like a whole catalog, a catalog of fucking, like success stories or like things that you've done, accomplishments.
Yeah, man, and like to be honest, and going back to that, like I feel like the next goal you reach, you kind of have to like up it in a way, especially like now.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, my situation, like before, like I would make songs and I would just release them. Now like I'm starting to get some like big heads look at me, like, so I really had to not push my limits, but push my standards more, because now like I'm having more people look at me, like I'm getting more followers, this and this, and I have to up it every one time, and like new opportunities present itself and all that,
kind of like live up to that expectation.
Exactly.
I get that. Yeah, I totally get that. And it's like, yeah, like once more eyes, I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword though, because then when there's more eyes on you, the more eyes on you, it was like a quote that I read recently, it's pretty cool. So it's like the more eyes on you, the more like focused you become on what you create, but yet at the same time, that can often limit creativity.
It does, because it fucks with your head, man. It really does.
Yeah, so like, and for those of you who don't like maybe or didn't really catch that message, and this is the reason. So a lot of times it can limit your creativity because you have that much more to lose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? It was kind of so like, okay, so going back to like getting that label release. After that, I submitted another track to another label, and it got signed too, which it's called Hybrid Trap Records, and I was like, holy shit! Like, it kept on, the momentum kept on growing. It got signed in December. It got released, and then, yeah, so in December, and I was like, holy shit! Like, I started like at the same time I was still making music. I'm still producing music, and then fast forward to this right now. This time, like I'm still making this music, and going back to that like that momentum. Like you got to live up to it. You got to be better. Like
Right.
it was starting to mess. Like in the beginning of the year, starting to mess with my head. I was like, I thought like my music had to be super perfect. Like I was like, nah, this doesn't sound good. So like it'll take me like hours or a couple of days to finish a track. And then I had to take a step back. I'm like, yo, like perfection really doesn't exist if you really think about it. Like, if you really think perfection does exist, like you're gonna kind of limit yourself because nothing's ever gonna be perfect. Like, I mean, you hear like a bunch of like artists or like other people that do it. Like, they say that like, yeah, man, don't let perfection mess with you because it starts messing with you. It brings depression, stress, and stuff like that. I'm like, I gotta finish this or I gotta make it sound this way. And I feel like, for example, in the producer community, a lot of producers, the reason why they don't get signed to labels or they don't get out there because they think everything has to be perfect, and that's bullshit. You just have to do it and just finish it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then you start perfecting stuff as you go. Like, you're not gonna make a great track when you first start. And you know what I mean? Like when you first start, like I'm pretty sure like 95% most of your shit's gonna sound like crap. But if you keep on practicing it every day, like putting those hours every day, it's gonna sound better and better, man.
Right.
You know, and that's been my whole motto like the past like year.
Yeah, take your time with them.
Take your time and practicing your craft. Like I'm starting to hear my shit sound like I haven't released music like in almost 2 months, or like almost in a month, but I got this great track I made with this R&B vocalist. It's fucking amazing. I submitted
not to toot his own horn, people, but
not to toot. I'm not trying to be cocky here, but it's pretty amazing. I showed it to a couple like people. I even showed it to his label owner. He liked it. Right now, I'm submitting to some labels, and I'm shooting pretty high, like some bigger labels. Like,
so I did want to talk about that real quick too. The whole like, when you say submitting, how does this process go? You know, for anyone curious about that. Like,
yeah. So
how does that work?
So it
Are
depends.
you just emailing them a song, or like, what are you doing for this?
Yeah. So it depends on the label, right? So like, it's like in the electronic world or whatever label. There's like different levels of labels, right? Like you got like smaller labels, and then you got like the mid ones, and you got the really high standard ones, like the big ones. The ones I got signed to, they're not like super low, but they're not super high. They're like in the middle, but like they're still really picky. So whatever label you go through, like especially now in the digital world, like it's so easy. Like go to their SoundCloud, go to their Twitter or their Instagram. They usually have a link, or go to the About section, and it says right here like to submit for demos. Email us here, or they even have web pages where you do a submission. They ask for your name, blah blah blah, and you submit, and it's pretty much simple, man. Because like some of these labels, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about how many followers you have or whatever. They just give a shit about quality music. If you're making quality music, then submit that crap, dude. Like, don't.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. I mean, and it sounds like it's one of those places that still holds value to good music. You know, whereas like, you know, I feel like that's a very common like point of concern for both producers and DJs, is that like, you know, when you start these things out, like you're in it because of the music, and you think that you're going to be able to play like kind of exactly what you want, how you want, you know, and then you slowly see how that's not exactly the case. But it's always appreciated whenever like a place does hold value to music.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So whether that's a club atmosphere or like a crowd that's like really like, you know, in tune with music and they appreciate you for what you do. And it's nice too in that production type of scene where someone is looking at you for you and your music and not like
The
what
art.
your social media is, whatever.
Yeah, and I think
That's cool.
Going back to that, like if you're true to yourself and you're really passionate about it, that's gonna get acknowledged way more as opposed to someone that has thousands of followers or putting out like certain type of content. All that social media bullshit and all that's not relevant unless you're really putting out your passion out there and like who you really are.
Right.
I mean, that's what makes me and you stand out from other people, right? Like I follow your stuff, man. Your stuff, the stuff you post, the content, the way you do your mixes. I mean, you're just a really humble guy too, and all that. And like,
thank you.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people follow you that, and you're doing this. Like, this thing is fucking amazing, dude. Like, not that much people are doing it in our community or whatever. You know, like
yeah, and I've definitely like, you know, like the whole point of acknowledging things. Like I do look back on all this and like I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of doing this, and it's been fun. And then, you know, it's cool. Like I was just talking about in my last episode that it's crazy the people that have really like, you know, it means a lot coming from you, but also like, you know, when I was at NAM, I ran into some people that I hadn't seen in a while. And like, that was kind of the first thing that they were like telling me about. They're like, yo, you're killing it, blah, blah. Like, and I listened to your podcast. And then one of my like, the directors of Scratch, the old director, was telling me like, hey, when are you gonna let me on, you know, like, and it's like
see,
like this guy that I look up to, he's asking when he's gonna be on my podcast, you know, and it still trips me out, but I'm very happy to do so. And I like doing this, and I like that I feel like it is very unique in its own, like we talk about podcasts all the time, and and there are other DJ podcasts out there, but so far what I've found is that every one of those is different, you know, and you will take to whichever one you feel like is relevant or like relatable to you.
Exactly.
So it's nice that like this is growing very organically, and I've had a lot of people like try to get me do it a certain way, but I think because of, you know, how grounded I am in it, in the format, and I think that I've been sticking with it. I think that consistency is catching on, and people, they like what's going on with it.
Exactly. You know? Yeah, man. Like, I remember when you first started. I mean, I designed your logo for this.
Yeah.
I'll actually, if you guys don't know, I do.
Oh yeah.
I do a lot of graphic design work. I actually designed his DJ logo and his podcast logo, and
facts.
I do a lot of DJ logos. I do club flyers, all that. When I first started DJing, I used to do my own club flyers and all that too, because like sometimes the promoters would send me the flyer, I'm like, what the fuck, I don't like this. So
yeah,
I do all that.
Yeah, I know. I remember him like doing some revisions early on in the day too.
Yeah, but yeah, like yeah, man, like just staying true to your art, and like for you, what you are is gonna get noticed more. Like I mean, like your stuff's picking up, my stuff's picking up, like
for sure.
You know, like I'm barely starting to see results. And I didn't start seeing results because I didn't take it serious, and I didn't have confidence in myself. If you guys have confidence in yourself, I mean, anything's possible. Like if you see your dream in the outlook in the long run, and you stay envisioned, and you work your ass off, it's gonna pay off, man. Like
yeah, and you know, to touch on that too, to kind of build. I recently had this conversation with a student of mine who is now a recent graduate. So shout out to Level Up. But yeah, I was talking about this whole notion of like people with low self-worth. Well, you know, like which kind of like
self-esteem
coincides with that. But yeah, so one little like life hack that I've learned recently is like how to build your self-worth if you have like a low self-worth, or you feel like very like you don't value yourself that much. One little hack is like to tackle things that you really don't want to do or that you deem hard. If you tackle those things, especially if you do them like early or you do it consistently, that's how you build your self-worth. So you'll you'll do these tasks or whatever, these things that you don't want to do, but you'll do them, and once you do them, you'll be like accomplished, and that's how you start to build yourself up. Because then you could really start to like look back at like all these accolades, like, oh yeah, like you could think very little of yourself, but then if you start to look at these things that you do, whether it's like, like, hey, I went to the gym fucking 5 times this week, and that's what I really wanted to do. Cool, that's like a little point up. And then you know what, like another goal of yours was to not be late for work, and you hit every day, you went on time because you went to bed on time, and that's how you build more like self-worth. And so all that stuff really kind of coincides. And if you put, I think an important point to this is a lot of people lack confidence, and if you really looked inside like yourself, and you really looked as to why you weren't confident, I could almost guarantee, and this isn't for everybody, but I bet you it's for a lot of people, that they're not confident because they haven't put that work in.
Yeah.
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
That's key right there, man.
Like if you really, really look inside yourself, you're like, well, why am I not confident? It's like, well, I haven't practiced all week. I haven't looked up any YouTube videos on like how to get better. I haven't put that work in. So that's why there's no confidence, and also it'll be like, I think you'll feel worse when you get out there to do something that you're expected to know. You know what I mean? Like if you're expected to perform and you didn't practice at all, like,
oh yeah, it's like
not only gonna, not only gonna not have that confidence, but you're just gonna feel like terrible because because of all that stuff that starts like to pile on you. You know what I mean? Whereas if you put that work in, then it should like click in your head where it's like, what am I nervous about? I've been doing this, let's say I had like a live set, on a Saturday, Monday through Friday, I practiced that set. I have nothing to worry about. Like, yo, I've been doing this all week. I'm cool.
Yeah, you're not stressing about it. As opposed if you do it last minute, you're just shitting bricks and sweating balls.
And I mean, a lot of times people can, and we know this, like to be real with ourselves, like a lot of times we can improv shit. That can happen all the time. But
it comes to a limit, though.
But I mean, is that your best effort? No. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's just you like half-assing it and be like, oh, I'll make it work, whatever. But like we talked about earlier too, that whole like notion of quality over quantity, and people will start to see that like if you continue to put out like half-ass shit, people are gonna know you as that person.
Yeah, man. I feel like the majority of people, they start something and they quit, and a lot of people quit. I mean, it's not just like with music.
Yeah,
it's everything in general. Like, I know some people are like, oh, I'm gonna work out, and like they quit halfway or like a quarter away, like, oh, I just got bored of it or whatever, like, or just not just staying consistent. Like,
yeah,
like for example, I work a full-time job. I teach production to students. I have a couple students. I make my own music. I do engineering works. People hit me up for mixing and mastering.
Right.
And my time is very limited. Like, there's very few times where I have, to have a break. But when I don't, like, I'm like, hey, yo, should I relax today and watch a movie or like a TV show? Nah, like, I get home, I practice my production, and whatever little time I have, I use it to my advantage. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there is a subject too. Like, you could overwork yourself, and you gotta learn how to step away. Because I'm starting to noticing that like I get stuck or on a song, or like I overwork myself.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, instead of like watching TV or something, I go to the gym, and that's something I really I started like practicing a lot. The gym helps me out so much because I used to suffer from a lot of depression.
Right.
So like I figured out like coping mechanisms to help my depression and my workflow and all that.
It's good. It's really good.
And the gym has been like so fucking great to me. Like for the past like 2 or 3 years, like it's really great. Like I get home from work out, then work on music, and then cook. And plus I have a girlfriend too, which is your neighbor.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's just dedicating your time to what you really love, and if you put the work in, like, you'll start seeing results. I mean, that's what I did the past like year and a half, and I'm like starting to see results barely.
Yeah.
Like I heard, like I met so Ricky-san, he's a pretty like big underground producer. You guys should check him out. But I had a chance to talk to him at the studio, and then he's like, "Yeah, bro." He's like, "I had to put like a good 6 years to be where I'm at." Like, see, people don't look at it to the long run.
For sure.
They just look at quick results, but it's years and years, man.
Well, because of social media, it's like if someone, for instance, like if you make like a new song, in a month's time and it blows the fuck up, people are like, look at this guy, man. He just came out of nowhere, and it's like, no, like if you followed him, he's been doing this since he was like a teen. He's been doing it since he was like 18, 19. Not necessarily like producing, but DJing that led up to production, that led up to this, that led up to internship, that led up to signing to labels, that now has him producing the stuff that he has. But people only see it like you just popped in front of the spotlight.
People hate, man.
But they don't understand that whole like process of it.
It, like, I kind of like to think of like, especially in the entertainment side, like, producing, DJing or whatever, like it takes all these years. But if you really think about, like, look at doctors, man. How many years they go to school for? Like,
perfect example. That's a perfect example, and I never really like talked about that, but that's perfect. I like that. I like that a lot.
A doctor just doesn't like. Yeah, they can, like, the first 2 years they're doing their undergrad, the first 4 years. That doesn't mean they're gonna know everything. They're gonna know the bare minimum, but they keep on practicing. They go to medical school. Then after that, they go to actual clinical work. And then they get their doctor's degree. Like,
dude, I love that you brought that up. That's so fucking cool.
You know what I mean? And people don't view it like that because, like, well, like in school industry or whatever, like, doctors, business lawyers and all that. Yeah, and like they go to school and all that. But for us, it's a little different. We don't have those like type of like credentials accepted like here.
Yes.
But it's the same goddamn concept, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like, even a doctor, like, right, once they graduate, like, a doctor can, like, for example, my girlfriend Heidi, she knows some, like, she's finishing up her master's right now to be an occupational therapist. And she's doing clinical work right now, and she's telling me she sees, like, these occupational therapists that are stressing out, but they're choosing to be stuck at that level. Or if they like really put a lot of work in their craft, they can they can open up their office, their own company or something like that. Right. It's the same damn thing, bro.
Yeah, like, kind of just settling.
Yeah, I don't like, that's what I love about my girlfriend. She works her ass off, dude. Like, she works full time. She works full time. She goes to school full time. Like, and plus she helps me out too and all that. But she is setting high for those standards. Like, once I graduate, I just don't want to get a job at a hospital or something. Nah, I want to have my own shit, like. Shout
out to Heidi, we love you.
Shout out to Heidi. But yeah, man, it's great. Like, going back to my friend Javen, dude, like, I remember when she first started blowing up, like, a lot of like these OG scratch hits were hating on her. She would tell me, she's like, yeah, but like, I remember she put like a good like year or two, like 2 years, and her like skill level like boom skyrocketed. Like,
yeah, she's dope.
Yeah, she's dope. And like, and as opposed to like some of these like OG guys, like they've been doing it for years, but I'm pretty sure those guys weren't putting the work in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be. That's a whole discussion, for sure. Like who gets the spotlight and for what reasons, But I think the important thing about that whole notion is really just understanding, like, are you doing like whatever you're doing, like, does it make you happy? And if it does, then just do it. Like, people get too trapped in that. Like they get too worried about worrying about why I'm not in the spotlight. Exactly. And like, if it comes your way, then it comes your way, but there's no necessity. Like people are very entitled, and they feel like, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years. I should fucking be like, blah, blah, blah. And, it doesn't happen. There's a lot of people that are like been doing things for like 50 years and they don't ever get in the spotlight. And that's not to say that they're not important. That's not to say that they're not valued. It's just like yo, like it just there's fucking
People
I don't know 4 billion people in the world, like, and you don't get the spotlight, like, come on, like,
you didn't put
what's the matter? I mean, we're really, it's like, to me, it's just like, I don't know, like, what does it matter so much? Like, you can still be a great person and do amazing things, but just because the the media doesn't acknowledge you doesn't mean that it's not, like, a fact. Like, and that's the kind of the thing that I strive for. Like, I want to be the best me, but I want to be like, I do want to be known in the community as like a dope DJ, but how do I do that? And I do that by like showing it. Like when I go out and I perform, I aim to be dope.
Yeah, exactly,
you know what I mean? Man. But I don't go around telling everybody I'm dope. Like, hey man, what's up, man? I'm Wally. I'm really dope. Like, I don't do that. I just like I lead by example. So I'll go out and I just do it.
I mean, a perfect example like this. I have my homie. He books me out to a club bar in Santa Monica. I don't promote it on my social media thing because I don't really DJ as much now. But he has so much trust, and he sees me work. Because I used to DJ a lot in clubs, so I know how to like read a crowd and stuff like that. Which, that's a whole art itself too. Right. Respect to the DJs that are able to do that. But like he books me once in a month, and like, he trusts me so much, and he believes in me, and he sees me work, and I go do this like once a month, man. And like I don't have to I don't have to flaunt it. I don't have to talk about it on social media or anything. Like there's other DJs that are killing to be what I'm doing, like this thing once a month or whatever now.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's just your work ethic, and like your work ethic speaks for itself. That's all. Like,
yeah, and I mean, a lot of times too, like, just to kind of fall back on that real quick is to dive back into that is just the fact that, like, who is acknowledging you, like to me, I rather have like DJs hitting me up and telling me that I'm doing really great or whatever, rather than the general public. And a lot of people get trapped in that, where like they just want as much acknowledgement as they can get, and even if it's from people who are not like as respected, and it's no like diss to the general public, but really like 80% of them would think that you're the most amazing DJ just for playing their song.
Exactly, yeah.
And not like because of like
the art
technical
form.
Ability, art form of it, selection, mastering, like all that shit. They don't know that. They know it for that generic like way of knowing it,
Exactly.
And people will get trapped in that. So like with the whole Javen thing, like, yeah, I mean, I bet you like let's say that a lot of new DJs were like, oh my God, like look at this person, like she's amazing, and then some of these old heads are getting kind of salty, because they weren't being recognized. But it's like, really, like, do you really need to be recognized for that? Like by those group of people? Like, I'm sure you're probably distinguished in the DJ community where people are like, yo, you're tight, blah, blah. But these people probably been here for a while, so you could kind of give a fuck about them now. But it's like, yo, like their opinion should matter like 10 times more than just the person just off the street, that says you're dope,
Yeah, man.
People get too trapped in all that.
Is that like a perfect example is my one of my mentors, Slow Palace. He that dude only has like 300 followers on like Instagram or something,
right?
Or like less than 400, whatever. But this dude, like, if you look on his SoundCloud or like his Spotify and all that, the stats on there, and like the people that follow him, like big artists, and like these blogs are picking up his music, and like he's getting respected in the community, like from big heads, and that's what really matters,
Yeah.
Like I'd rather get accepted because
well, that's what should matter. Not to say that that is the only thing that matters, but that should hold more weight and value to you.
Yeah.
But if not, I mean, to each his own. But
yeah, I mean, there's, like you said, there's some people that are just happy with getting feedback from the public, like just general people.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe that's the people that they design music for, though, or like that's who they like do their art for.
Like another quick example, like when I first started producing, like I was doing these remixes and stuff. Like they weren't the best sounding, but like like average people, like not average people, just like, you know, daily people just hit me up like, hey, like that's dope.
Mm-hmm.
But like with me, like I didn't want that for myself, so I practiced more and started getting knowledge by like some big people and stuff like that, you know. And that's where I'm happy at right now.
What advice would you give to someone who like is curious about producing? You know, maybe has, let's just say like the first person that's curious about it, but has never dove in. What would you recommend as far as like how for them how to get started? Like, what kind of advice would you pass down to a person like that?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of ways, but I mean, from what worked for me, one was the internet. The internet's great. YouTube.
Right.
Start learning off that. You know, learn the basics off that. Follow big YouTubers. I'll name a couple right now: Zen World, Cross, Mr. Bill, Cosmic Academy, I believe. There's a couple more, but yeah, start watching that. And you got to be careful when you start like watching like these YouTube videos and stuff, because some of these like people on there, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Some do, so make sure you're getting credible like content that's really good. Like, you don't want to get misleaded for like other stuff. Because I remember when I first started, like I watched like some dude talk about this. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean that's how I started.
Real quick, sorry to interrupt, but like, do any of these people the people that you mentioned, like, is there any way for them like establishing credibility, or like, I don't know, do they have it in their link where they're like, hey, I graduated from fucking blah blah blah, or like
well, yeah, some of them like
how do you know?
Yeah, so like some of them will have it on their about section. Like, for example, that guy Zen World, I met him in person too. He's a cool guy. Shout out to him. But yeah, like this dude, like he has support like from like big artists. You'll see like Kashmir watches his videos, or Hardwell, or stuff like that, or he releases sample packs too, and like some of these sample packs get played by like big artists and all this. But yeah, do your research on the YouTuber or whatever, you know.
Right.
Make sure, and like also like the following count does kind of matter in YouTube, I think, because you don't want to follow someone that has, well, sort of, but you don't want to follow someone that has like 100 subscribers or something like that, as opposed to someone that has 50,000 with a bunch of like years of uploading and stuff like that. So make sure you do your research on that, or just hit me up too. I can recommend you guys some. So like the internet's one, and also your community. Look around in your community, right? Even if you're not in the industry or whatever, start going out to some events, some networking events. I went to this networking event like I think last month or in the beginning of the month. It was by Cymatics, which is a sample pack production company. It was a really dope event. Like, everyone was networking, a bunch of producers, DJs, and all that. And I met some dope people. And find out your community. And for example, in my situation, I found some guy that was kind of making it. He was kind of getting big. And I hit him up like, yo, are you offering classes? So step 2, find a mentor. Find a mentor. Or you can go the school route, which is not bad either. But for me, I didn't have that type of, for example, like over here in LA, we got like Icon Academy. Have you heard of it? Mm-hmm. Icon Collective, sorry. Icon Collective is really pricey. It's like in the like, it's almost like a bachelor's degree, dude. It's like almost 20 grand. It's crazy. But I mean,
it's expensive.
There's some people that make it there and like get big, like that guy Keizo. Who else? There's a Slander, a couple other guys that like made it really big there. But I mean, that's your decision. You know, I didn't want to take that route. Maybe I could have got better. But to be honest, whatever route you do to choose to do, make sure you're 100% committed and you practice every day. Because what is it worth just spending your money for no goddamn reason?
Yeah.
I met some producers that went to Icon, and like their music's not that great. It's no offense to them, but like you can tell
that's the reality of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and these dudes spend like thousands of dollars, man. crazy. So like definitely like, for example, me, I found out my community. I'm pretty sure you have people hit you up like to practice DJ lessons or something like that, private lessons and stuff. I find out a community, and then not only that, but surround yourself with people in that same industry or like producers at your level, and you guys can all interchange with ideas and stuff. Like, hey, like for example, when I was doing it, I had like a group of friends, like we were sending each other like, hey man, check out my track, give me some feedback, that and that, you know. That's a big thing too.
That's cool.
So definitely find out your community, see what you know locals are doing, what events and stuff like that. That's like one big thing. And and another thing to start, like as we were saying in the beginning, you know, if you can't afford that stuff, then fuck it, man, touring it. I mean, I did that, like, but eventually, you know, you do want to invest into that stuff. Like, Ableton costs what, like $800 or something like that. It's like
500, I think, maybe 6.
Yeah, it's like around there.
Well, I know that there's like a school edition too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The school edition's like around like in the 500s, but yeah, I mean later invest into that stuff, because I mean if you want to take your stuff serious, like you want to invest into like stuff like that.
You know, I just realized I feel like that cup is not gonna appear. I think I've used that cup before, and it like pretty much vanishes. So even when you're like drinking it, it's gonna be fucking invisible. Funny little random thing about that.
Yeah, I just noticed that too. I was like, oh. I noticed that too, but I didn't say nothing. It was like lime green. But yeah, man. I mean that's pretty much it. And like, you know, hit up other people on even pirate social media too, man. Like you find some dope content on like Instagram or like dope people in the.
Have you had because I've heard about people getting kind of lucky with this. Have you ever DM'd anyone like a big artist? And then got a response. Do you make a practice of doing that though?
I used to a lot in the beginning, but I kind of stopped. Just because I felt like I was bugging them.
Right.
But there's some artists that like kind of like don't really want to get bothered. Depends on the artist and all that. But yeah, I mean, I was doing that, but actually. Going back to that, there's some artists that do like live. So like I follow this one guy named Lax City. He's a pretty dope producer. He's getting really big. He does a live stream on Twitch like every like once a week or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes he has live demo feedback sessions and stuff like that. And you can submit your track and he demos it live. He gives you feedback and stuff like that. So yeah, there's like some producers that do stuff like that. So definitely take the opportunity.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, take advantage of that.
Yeah, follow these guys on Twitter is like a really good platform for that, because Instagram is more for like pictures and stuff like that and content. But Twitter's really good like that. Hey guys, I'm gonna be doing a live feedback stream on Twitch or on YouTube. Submit your track to this email and I'll demo it and stuff like that, you know. So
yeah,
that's really cool. And I mean, hopefully like one day I get the opportunity to do that. But I even have some people hit me up like, hey, can you give me some feedback on this track or whatever? And then like, I'm really grateful to be where I'm at right now, so I do it. So yeah, I'm like, hell yeah, I'll give you feedback. Like,
yeah.
No, because I was in that situation too, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how you build the better community too. Like I have people submit mixes to me all the time, and it's just because, well, for one, I assume that they value what I have to say.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know if you send a mix where, like, what's the point of sending a mix to someone and then they reply back to it and you want feedback, or you ask them for feedback, but yet you're like, this guy don't have any credibility, so fuck does he know? You know what I mean? So I assume that there's some like validity in where they like value my like opinion.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool feeling too when like people hit you up.
But I mean, regardless, I make myself very accessible like that anyways. Like I'm constantly on social media, and like I do this as a communal thing. Like I'm constantly on my stories. Like I'll post a mix that I'm listening to, like, hey, shout out to so and so, he's providing the gym mix or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, but with that, yeah, like I've definitely like get to listen to a lot of people's stuff, and you know, I'll give them the feedback. I'd be more than happy to give feedback whenever I get an opportunity to, you know?
Yeah, man, that's dope. Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, that's pretty much all the feedback I got from like how to get into this production world. And let me tell you guys something, it's not easy. You're going to fail probably like 100 or 1,000 times, but I failed so many times. Like, I even submitted a track to like a bigger label the other day, and they're like, "Oh, thank you. This is not our style. You know, that wasn't their style." But I didn't let that discourage me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like just work your guys' asses off or whatever you do. Like just think of your day like this, right? Like, yo, should I go play video games, watch a movie, watch TV, or should I go practice? Do that. You know, ask yourself that question, and you start to see results.
Do you kind of do it like a minimum? Do you have a minimum time frame where you kind of do? Like
Yeah, I do.
A minimum of an hour or something like that?
I do 1 to 2 hours a day on production. Minimum, yeah. And then, I mean, so I'm teaching private student. I'm doing private lessons right now. That one on Thursdays, I teach a lot, so that takes up most of my day. So I don't have time to do production there. But every day I do production. Even my girlfriend's like, "You need to go produce music or something."
Well, even if but that's the beauty of it too, though. Even though you're not necessarily like producing on Thursdays, if you're teaching, you're still in the realm, and you know, when you get asked questions, you learn it better for sure. Like, and you still, I know, like, you could still learn new things as you're teaching.
Oh yeah, and that's all. Like now that I started doing that, like,
because people ask questions that sometimes you might not have even thought of, and then the fact that like you never thought of it, you figure out like why it makes sense, and then you just get a better understanding of like whatever you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, like I'm teaching like this one guy, and he's really good at producing. But he asked me some like trick questions. I'm like, whoa, like I didn't think of that. I'm like, how would I do it? I'm like, okay. Then I figure it out. But yeah, it's good. And then like some of these kids, like they're coming like this one dude, he wants to learn bass house music, and I made bass house before, but now that like I'm teaching him, like I'm learning how to make it better.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, maybe because that's like a stone that you haven't turned over in a while.
Exactly. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So I mean that goes both ways for the teacher and student, I think.
Tight, man. Well, I know that you had some. Do you think we covered everything that you wanted to talk about? 'Cause I know you had some things you're pretty excited about this. So I'm glad that we did do this for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, pretty much like we covered everything about my background, origin. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff I missed out, but like I try to focus on most of the important stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, just for right now, I'm gonna take a step back on releasing music. I'm just building my catalog right now. I got a couple collaborations. I got one with my homie Quarter. We just met online on SoundCloud, but he's all the way in Australia, New Zealand. We got this dope track we're just finishing up right now. I have another
beauty of the internet.
Yeah, man, you can collab with someone. For example, I collab with some dude all the way in Osaka, Japan, like all in Japan, like. And now we're like cool homies.
Did you visit him out there?
No, he lives in a different city, Osaka.
Yeah,
Osaka's like it's kind of far, but I want to go back and visit him. I've been wanting to meet a great producer.
That's tight.
Shout out to Kiyomi. I got another collab with my homie Deuces, which is stationed in Hawaii. Dope ass guy. I never met him. I never met none of these guys in person, but they were like so cool. Like we just nerd about our stuff.
Yeah.
I have another collab with my homie Yellow Liar. We made a song before. We made a remix. I put it in the mix. But we're making an official like original track. We're working on that. I got another collab with an R&B vocalist named Steph. Fucking great. We made this. It's crazy. We made this track back in November, and we mixed and mastered it like in December, and now we've been having this track on hold. And right now I'm barely submitting to some labels, so hopefully it gets picked up to a good label. And yeah, man, like I'm still making music every day and just doing my thing.
Tight, man. Well, what about how I always end this is like how anybody could like help you or support you. Like, is there any way like like whether it's as simple as you're trying to get to, I don't know, 10,000 followers on SoundCloud or like whatever, like what is it like?
I mean, to be honest, like,
or maybe you just want to meet more like producer friends or whatever. What are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, hopefully I can get some more network opportunities, meet some more producers. Or, I mean, if you guys want to follow me on social media, it's at Remy Heart Music, RemyHeart Music. That's on Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram, Twitter. I'm also on Spotify, Apple Music, all that. Remy Heart Music. Yeah,
Go and check out his stuff individually if you liked anything you heard in the mix.
Yeah. Well, like I said, half of those songs are produced by me. Some unreleased stuff. Yeah, so check it out. And you guys ever feel free to hit me up with questions about music production, feedback. I'm always willing to help on that, or anything else. Or yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. I know you came a long way from like a street over, but
I'm gonna be his neighbor pretty soon.
Yeah, this guy's gonna be moving in next door pretty much. I don't know how, like,
in like
a couple months, within a couple months.
in April. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe you guys will be seeing him around more.
Definitely helping out with the podcast.
But thank you, sir.
Thank you,
From
man.
behind the booth. Peace out, y'all.